Hello everyone. This is all about lexical resource, vocabulary for IELTS speaking. Use a range of topic-related vocabulary to show that you can talk about a variety of topics. Use few idioms and less common vocabulary and phrases, including collocations, in your answers. Paraphrase the question, language effectively. Do not repeat this same word again and again. Some useful phrases. Let's discuss for IELTS speaking. How to express personal opinion. Speaking for myself, personally, as I see it, for me, as far as I'm concerned, for what I have heard, for what I have seen, from what I've experienced, in my opinion, in my view, in my experience, personally speaking, from my perspective, from my point of view, it seems to me that my own view on the matter is I tend to feel that, I tend to think that, I tend to believe that, my personal view is that, my personal opinion is that, I'm of the opinion that, I would argue that, I'm sure that, this is a strong opinion. I'm sure that, I'm convinced that, I'm certain that, there is no way, I wholeheartedly believe, I'm strongly for, I'm strongly against, under no circumstances should, on no account should, it can hardly be denied that, I strongly agree with the idea that, I strongly disagree with the idea that, agreement. I quite agree that, strongly agree, I fully agree, that's my view exactly, I totally agree with the view, I totally agree with the idea that, I completely agree with the idea that, I agree with the view that, I agree with the opinion that, I'm quite inclined to the view that, I'm quite inclined to the opinion that, I couldn't agree more, I concur with the view that, I approve the idea, I am in agreement, I consent that, disagreement. I disagree with the opinion that, I strongly agree, I totally agree, I strongly disagree, I totally disagree, I completely disagree, I quite oppose the opinion that, I disapprove that, I see things rather differently myself. I wouldn't say that that is necessarily true. My own opinion contradicts. However, my opinion is different. I'm afraid I disagree. That's not always true. Not necessarily. That's one way of looking at it. However, it depends. Phrases for it depends. That depends. I think it really depends. That depends on how you look at it. Partial agreement. I don't entirely agree. It is true that, however, that is partly true that, that is partly true, but I agree with that to an extent. However, I only partially agree with this. I only partly agree with this. Expressing time, then, now, at the moment, at the time, at present, right now, these days, nowadays, in the past, in the future, years ago, when I was younger, before, after, about a year ago, back in 2016. Ask for repetition. Sorry, would you mind repeating the question? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat the question? Asking for clarification. Sorry, I don't understand the question. Sorry, I'm afraid I didn't catch that. Could you repeat the question, please? Could you say it again? Could you repeat that again? Could you explain what do you mean by XYZ? Could you explain the question, please? Sorry, could you rephrase that? Could you please explain that? Could you please explain the word? What does the word mean? Sorry, I didn't get the question. Could you explain? Sorry, I'm afraid I didn't understand the question. Sorry, can I just clarify what you mean? Are you asking me? Say, what do you think has been asked? Buying time. I haven't thought about that before. Let me think. That's quite difficult question. I'm not quite sure what to say. What is the word I'm looking for? What was I going to say? What was I going to say? Just give me a second. Oh yes, I remember. That's a good question. I haven't thought about that before. I've never thought about that before. I haven't given this much thought before. Wow, let me think about that. Let's see. Speculation. I suppose that, I guess that, I suspect that, it's possible. I would imagine that, I would speculate that, I would say, perhaps. I think it's likely. I think it's unlikely. I'm pretty sure that, I'm convinced that, I'm certain that, I'm positive that, this is probably due to, this is likely due to, perhaps it's because, it seems to me that, can't remember. I'm sorry, the word seems to have escaped me, but it sounds like, I'm sorry, I seem to have forgotten the word, but it looks like, I can't remember what it's called, but it involves impersonal argument. There are those who say that, it is often said that, a common opinion is, a popular belief is that, it is often said that, one argument put forward is that, it can be argued that, it's generally accepted that, some people argue. Okay, so you've just completed general phrases for speaking, useful phrases for speaking. Okay, we will see you in the next class for the collocations. Thank you. Bye-bye. Practice them.